Welcome to Hard Talk. I'm Stephen Sacco. Ukraine had an historic opportunity this week to move toward full integration with the European Union. EU leaders wanted to seal an association agreement which would have drawn one of Europe's largest nations firmly into Brussels' orbit. But Ukraine's president walked away from the deal in favor of closer ties with Russia. Why? Well, my guest is Petro Poroshenko, billionaire Ukrainian businessman and former minister. East or west? Where do Ukraine's real interests lie? Petro Poroshenko, welcome to Hard Talk.
Thank you.
How surprised were you when President Yanukovych decided to pull the plug on this association agreement with the European Union?
Good afternoon, good evening. I think that this is a very important moment in our history, and until now we don't have any opinion of President Yanukovych. That's a very interesting fact, because it was only decision of the government. It's quite complicated maybe for the viewers to understand what is the difference between Prime Minister and President. But now in Ukraine, the whole power is concentrated in the President's hand.
So you don't doubt for a second, do you, that it was Yanukovych himself who, in the end, decided to walk away from this deal?
I think this is, first of all, when it happened, governmental decision, it was a very big shock for everybody. For the Ukrainian people, for the Ukrainian politicians, for the European leaders. And it seems to me even Russians simply don't know how to comment that, because they still now, until now, they don't have any firm comments. Is it welcome that, or stop that, or what to do?
So you were shocked. But I just wonder whether you can, now that you've heard the sort of very basic explanation from the Ukrainian government, which is that in the end they said they felt it was in Ukraine's national security interest not to sign this deal with the European Union, and further they said they would look toward the customs union deal with Russia and the former Soviet states, because they said that would restore lost production, output, trade and economic relations that are vital to Ukraine. So that was their strategic decision. Can you understand it?
No. I think neither me, no Ukrainian politician, no Ukrainian people, nobody can understand that, because first of all, this is not true. We don't have any big danger if we signed up the association agreement with the European Union. Why? Because they have nothing anti-Russian. The main motivation for me as a Ukrainian politician, as a Ukrainian citizen, strongly voting for the European Union integration is necessity to reform my country, to modernize it, because they are simply non-competitive. From the economic point of view, and they have very big problem from the point of view of values. They have a problem with democracy, they have a problem with their freedom of speech, their freedom of press.
They you're talking about is the Russians or
no,
some people inside the Ukrainian government?
I think some people inside the Ukrainian government. I'm not commenting any Russian steps, because Russia is acting in their own interest, in their own understanding of the current situation. They have an idea about global Russia, or Russia as an empire. And in that point of view, the Russian steps is absolutely logical.
But Mr. Poroshenko, you are one of Ukraine's biggest businessmen. You're also a former foreign minister. You know better than almost anybody in your country that you cannot divorce the decision taken by the Ukrainian government from the stance taken inside Russia, because Russia was putting such enormous pressure on the Ukrainian government not to do this deal with the EU.
Yeah, I know, for sure I know that. I was the Foreign Affairs Minister, I was a Minister of Economy, and unfortunately I am the owner of the biggest Ukrainian confectionery factory, Roksolana, who became a symbol of pressure.
You're known as the king of chocolate.
One.
I'll spare your blushes, but your confectionery business is huge. You also own shipyards, automakers, you own a TV station. You are a huge billionaire businessman, and you know the reality of the Russian pressure, because the Russians this summer declared that your chocolate was no longer safe to eat inside Russia. They banned the export from your factories in Ukraine of chocolate into Russia. You were losing tens of millions of dollars. So you know precisely why the Ukrainians, in the end, at government level, decided they couldn't afford to do this.
That's true, but immediately when Russia declared the ban, we make the very next day we make the top world laboratory for making international independent assessment, and Russia received maybe 30 or 40 reports from the top laboratories in the world, and no one country in the world can confirm the Russian decision.
No, listen, I'm not suggesting for a minute that your chocolate was poisonous. That really isn't the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to get at is this. You know, because your business suffered real losses, that Russia has enormous power. I mean, Russia is the single biggest nation trading partner of Ukraine. When Russia imposed these restrictions and controls and bans on various Ukrainian exports, I think trade went down 25% in your country. Your economy is in a terrible mess, partly because people fear the Russia factor. So I put it to you again, what choice did Yanukovych have? Because in the end, the Russian economic pressure, intimidation, if you want to put it that way, was extreme.
This means just Russia wants to use the economic influence on the political decision, and this is completely in Russia style. But if you're talking about, for example, 25% of the dropping the turnover, they have some positive figures, because Russia supplied to Ukraine 30 or 40% less the natural gas. Ukraine becomes simply more energy efficient. And what is more important, the cooperation...
But Ukraine still owes a huge amount of money to Gazprom. And again, Mr. Putin indicated in direct talks with Mr. Yanukovych that if Ukraine was to leave Europe behind and to look towards the Russia customs union, there would be a reward, there would be a carrot, and part of that would be that a lot of the debts owed to Gazprom would be written off.
If you allow me, I use it not reward, but bribe. And if we should pay this price for our European aspiration, for our reform, for building up the competitive economy, for building up the good society, democracy and everything, we should pay this price, because without that, without bringing new technology, without coming new investors, without bringing up the necessary investment climate, Ukraine do not become a competitive country.
But you're talking about the long term, and I'm talking about the short term.
But we have a